Live. So, guys, welcome to the TAS Power Hour. We're here today, Friday, once again, joined with my good friend Dom Sugar and Chris Shaffer, and we are going to be kind of recapping the week, which was craziness, all the way from what we were doing over the weekend, all of that fun stuff, and then once we got back, all of the things that have been happening within our businesses, and all that fun stuff. So I'm excited. So I know we jumped on yesterday, Chris, real quick to do a quick little Prime Day announcement because we kind of figured out that that was the official day now that they announced it, or they actually put their I guess their approval on, yes, that is when it's going to be. But we found that out, so we did a little Facebook Live yesterday. Today we're going to talk more about the Prime Day stuff. And then we'll also give some updates on the brand that we're working on right now and some things that have been happening there. And we'll catch up with Dom and see what's been happening since he's been back, which he just got back a couple of days ago. So I'm sure he's been up to his eyeballs in stuff to do and figure things out, as Dom would say. So what's going on? How are things on your end, Chris and Dom?
Go for it, Dom. What's up with you, man?
Just trying to catch up. Obviously, it's a long weekend, so that's not helping. You know, being gone for 2 weeks out of 2.5 weeks has been a pain for all of us. So, yeah, just trying to, lots of things happening, whether it's private label or retail arb or wholesale, or, things are kind of backing up here. But we're trying to go as fast as we can. And then, of course, throw in a few issues here and there with shipments not arriving and other stuff and duties, dealing with a couple other things in the back end for some shipments that were supposed to arrive. They're not there. It's always something.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to business, right?
That I think is an important point. Everybody wants to make money with no effort, and they want to just be able to go sit on a beach somewhere and not do anything. And
that wouldn't be any fun, Chris, to not have to go up the climb.
This business gives you a lot of flexibility and gives you a lot of freedom. Like, Scott, you were in Mexico for a week and the business was still running. Dom, I know you were there. And then we were gone for a week again this week. And when you come back, there's always going to be that little bit of catch-up. But compared to a lot of other business models, the catch-up that you're doing still is not that major. Like, yeah, you have a couple little fires. There's no forest fires, right? You got a couple little things you got to put out. You got to check your inventory levels. You got to make sure that nothing went completely haywire while you were gone. And then you're kind of right back into it. And I know I flew back Monday night, I believe. And by about the middle of the day, Wednesday, I was fully caught up and kind of back up and running, which is always a nice place to be, even with all the craziness we had going on this week, which I want to talk a little bit about. But first things first, I want to let you guys know, if you guys go ahead and share this with anybody you think that would enjoy the content that we're going to be throwing down here today, go ahead and do that. The other thing that I'm going to do, if you guys can let us know in the comments that you can hear us and see us okay. I know some people were having some trouble in the beginning. If you do have an issue, refresh the feed and then let us know if that works. And thirdly, if you guys hear something that you like that we're talking about, either leave us a comment letting us know that you want to hear more of that, or give us a smiley, a thumbs up, a Mr. Yuck, a heart, any of those kinds of things. We do actually get to see those come through so that we know what we're talking about makes sense for each and every one of you. Scott Guillermo wants to know, will Scott ever bring out his guitar skills and record an intro for his own podcast?
That's a funny thing there, because actually I thought about that. I'm like, I should probably lay down some nice guitar track or something, right? I mean, that's kind of what I put out there that I it's funny too, you guys were at my house and I didn't even plug in for you guys. I should have plugged in and strummed a few chords or laid a few lead tracks down for you guys, but you guys didn't ask, so I guess I didn't deliver. So, I guess we were just what's that?
We were in awe with The Office where everything started. That's why.
That's right. You guys were all standing here. So now you guys get a little bit more of a feel of what I'm actually in this room. You guys can kind of visualize, what it's like in the entire office. Not a huge office. It's just right.
That's good.
Yeah, it's a good size, and you guys got to see the stand-up area and the mic. And I think I even did like a, hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Amazing Seller Podcast. This is episode number 382, right? I did one of those guys for you because I think Bill was like, so is this the mic? Is this where it all happens? I'm like, this is where it all happens, right here. So I gave him a little live demo. I probably should have had everybody, kind of hovered around it. We should have did an intro together. Anyway, yeah, that is funny. I don't know. Maybe we'll do a little guitar track. I have been putting in little snippets from our last live event, which you guys will start to hear. I had people that were at the event record a little intro like, hey, this is Chris from Dallas, Texas, and you're listening to the Amazing Seller Podcast. And I'm starting to put them on right now. So, yeah. Bill says, I like the car better than the guitar, but that is just me. Smiley face. Yes, we took a ride in the Stang. So that was that was kind of fun. And hey, Dom, just to let you know, there's footage of our dead end little excursion there. So
Nice.
yeah, so Jimmy sent that over today. That might have to make the air too. So
Okay.
anyway,
It's a battle. A battle. There's so much video footage. The cab ride, that.
Woo! Yeah, and actually, I did post the Uber driver or the ride that we had. That is posted on Facebook. Chris, if you get a minute after, maybe link to that permalink inside of the comments to this. If you guys want to check that out, it was an amazing Uber ride. And I kind of tied it into business. I'm like, this guy is trying to figure out how he can stand out amongst Uber drivers, right? An Uber driver is a guy that picks you up or a girl that picks you up, takes you where you want to go, and you're out. Well, at nighttime, there's a lot of times they're picking up people at a bar or they're picking up people that are maybe having coffee. And he really dialed it up a notch or two. So it was
like 6. That was not 1 or 2.
No, he took it way up.
But it's an interesting lesson in general in business, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Uber, that was an Uber thing, and that was a way to stand out amongst other Uber drivers.
Right.
Just like in Uber, where every driver is the same, like every garlic press is the same. So how do you stand out, right? Do you have better photos? Do you have a better product? How do you do those kinds of things? And it was just a really interesting marketing lesson. Think about this, though, Scott. Right? Anybody that's now traveling to Ballantyne, North Carolina, has been exposed to this guy now. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like everyone in the TAS audience, all 7 million whatever people that have downloaded the podcast, all of those people have now had exposure to this guy, right?
Yeah.
So he reached an influencer, right, who then shared the experience, and now hundreds and thousands of people have seen that experience and are now kind of on the lookout for that guy or thinking about hiring him for a limo. I know if you even said because of that experience, you would probably hire the guy again.
Oh, I am.
If you take Scotty out on the town, or, one of those kinds of things. And it's kind of the exact opposite of the experience that you had a few months ago that we talked about on Power Hour.
That's true.
And correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you went somewhere and they had a no free refill on coffee policy, or no refill on coffee policy.
Yeah, they had a poster that said
it was like a 12-point font sign that said no refills,
handwritten.
And that's how you stand out in a bad way. So
Yeah.
you can create a positive customer experience and stand out in a good way, or a negative customer experience and stand out in a bad way. And either way, you end up getting talked about right here on the Amazing Seller Podcast. So.
Yeah, and I didn't put the guy's name out there. I could have and gotten him a lot of business, I'm sure. But he did give me his business card, so I may take him up on his offer. He is actually a limo driver as well, so that'll be a fun ride. So maybe even when we do maybe another North Carolina little meetup, we'll have to hire him for sure. Okay, let's dive in here. Prime Day has been like the big news, I guess, for this week. Dom, I haven't really talked to you about Prime Day and what your thoughts are and what you have planned. What's it mean for you?
Well, we talked about it last week a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't do too much differently, to be honest. At one time we used to see what our competitors were doing, and then we drop it. But to be honest, we have such a good sell-through through our products that I'm just gonna have to replace it. Does that make any sense? Like, I'm just gonna have to. If I sell 500 units something tomorrow, it's just gonna deplenish me, and I'm not gonna have enough at regular price for the rest of the week or the rest of a couple months. So. We'll play with it a little bit, but we're not going to go crazy with it. I know it's a big day for most people.
But I think
the
the one thing that I would highlight, though, that makes it a little bit different is if you're launching a product or products or that are fairly new, or you want to boost some products, that would be the time to do it, right?
No, for sure. That's definitely a given. That's going to move your algorithm, the BSR. But again, it's going to move everybody else's as well that's in your space, so not just you. Well, that's the point. Like, if you're going to sell 150, is the main guy going to sell 250? You're not going to catch him anyways because he's already got a lead. So I get what you're saying. I think we'll have probably about 4 products. I don't even know when the official Prime date is, but obviously you guys know.
July 11th.
Let's figure that out. July 11th. So we're probably only going to have 4 new ASINs by then. I think I've got a couple more landing this week, or actually on Tuesday or Wednesday. So just the time. So it's not overly. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll see what our competitors do, and we might meet them or beat them. Again, we haven't just decided. It's a little easier when you have 1 or 2 products. Once you start getting over in the multiple numbers, it's difficult to go press them, change all your sales data and all that stuff. So
Well,
as a team, we talked about.
I just think it comes down to like the situation, right? Like I mean, if you have product, here's another one. Let's say, for example, you have a product that you're going to be phasing out. You're not going to have it anymore. Be a great time to liquidate that product.
Just because that's another way they look at it. Yep.
You know, so there's traffic there. So it doesn't mean that just because it's Prime Day that you have to do something. But there's different things. I mean, talking about multiple SKUs, we just got off the phone or the Skype. We did a Skype call with a guy that runs a Fortune 500 company, actually a few of them. And they have multiple SKUs. And they're just picking like 5 or 10. And then those are the ones they're going to be focusing on. They look at the Prime Day as a way to test certain prices. Not even just that. They look at the experience. Can they boost their? Can they get ranked? Like they do different things like that to kind of use it as a test because there's so much traffic. But again, I don't think there's a right or a wrong. But I do say that anyone that is just launching or has launched or has a product that does not seem to be moving, now would be a time to think about that, to capitalize on that traffic.
Yeah. Guillermo makes a good point. He said it actually starts at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on the 10th. And I think the reason they did that is because they want to make it bigger than last year. And so they're kind of hedging their bets with a few extra hours there. They added basically 16 hours, so it's a 30-hour Prime Day and a quarter sale versus just the 24-hour kind of midnight to midnight window. And honestly, I think the reason that they're doing that, the other reason, is because people who are getting those first lightning deals, kind of real early in the morning, or those first ones of the day, right, which technically starts at 12:01, don't get a ton of traffic. And so they're kind of hedging it towards that earlier portion in the day where they know they're going to get high volume rather than the dead 6 hours between midnight and 6 a.m. Eastern. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
They're hedging towards when there's going to be people on the site so that they can take advantage of that and also pick up that extra little boost of sales. And I see that in a lot of the accounts that we work in, Scott, that like time people get after work till midnight-ish in whatever their time zone is tends to be a very active time on the site and tends to be one of the bigger, more active portions of the day for us across a lot of our brands. So that makes sense to me that they're adding those extra few hours in.
Yeah, cool. I just want to remind everyone too, if you guys have any questions, put them down below. We're going to go ahead and address those questions. I know it's a holiday weekend technically, so I know there's probably people traveling and whatnot. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know, leave a question down below if you have any questions, if we can address them, or if you have something that you're going to be doing in or for Prime Day that might be a good idea or something that you're testing. I'd love to see it, love to hear it. Drop them down below, and also do us a favor, share this, like it, and do what you can to spread the love here. We would appreciate that. Yeah, so Chris, let's talk a little bit more about Prime Day. And again, people that are just tuning in, we're talking a little bit about Prime Day. July 11th is the official start time. Actually, it is July 10th if you want to figure that it's starting at, 9 p.m. Eastern?
9 p.m. Eastern, yeah.
I hope they don't start doing it like Black Friday, though.
Where it's Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, it's like, before it was like midnight Thanksgiving, and now it's like 6 p.m. Thanksgiving, it's like, then you start losing that whole feel of there's a limited amount of time. So I just hope they don't start doing that. But right now, technically, July 10th at 9 p.m. is when they're officially going to start running sales and stuff like that. But Chris, what happens if we're not invited to a lightning deal or a Prime deal special? Does that mean that you can't capitalize on this time?
Yep. There's absolutely
You're done.
Sorry. No, and that we were invited to some and we chose not to run a few, and we're also kind of still on the fence about the one that we did decide to sign up for, because you can still cancel it until it starts to run, basically. But what we're planning on doing, Scott, is we're going to take that email list that we kind of broke Amazon with yesterday, and we're going to drive some of those people more than likely, we haven't decided officially on our strategy, but we kind of talked through it yesterday. We're going to drive some of those people either to one or a selection of our products on Prime Day, just to kind of boost them up the page, make sure that they stay to the top. You give them a little bit of a discount just as a little Prime Day thing. You say, hey guys, go over and get it. If you haven't grabbed one yet, it's 10%, it's 20%, it's 30% off just for Prime Day. And then you're kind of sticking up further in the ranks than you would be otherwise. Obviously, you can still run PPC. I'm going to be a little cautious on that, on the stuff that I manage, just because with the influx of people, you tend to burn through that budget really, really fast. So my suggestion there, and Dom, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on it as well, but my thoughts there are run it, phrase, and exact. I wouldn't necessarily run broad as aggressively as we tend to, but those higher performing keywords I would still probably run just to pick up that additional traffic. But I think for us, Scott, this year, the big thing is going to be driving that email list and seeing how that performs, and then how that helps us perform organically. And what we may want to do is just drive an email first thing in the morning and see kind of what those promotional redemptions look like on that product, and see if that helps kind of skyrocket us for the day. Because what I've seen with the new brand is anytime we do that and we get an extra 15, 20 sales, we must rank somewhere differently, because anytime we do that, we see an exponential explosion in sales for the next few days. And then as it kind of falls back to more normal levels, we settle out a little higher than where we were before, right? And it's something, a concept you and I have kind of talked about in the past. Amazon is not linear, right? Amazon is like it's a step. So you go up here and then you flatten out, and then you go up here and then you flatten out, and you have to keep kind of that next level. So I'm curious to see if we can do a little bit of that on Prime Day and pick up on the extra traffic just by driving that extra boost in the morning.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. So at this point, let's talk a little bit about, I guess, what had happened. Before that, though, Dom, let me ask you, like, so at this point in time right now, and I know people would probably be asking this question, like, okay, you've got a bunch of different things going on. What is one thing that consumes most of your time in your business right now? Because a lot of people want to know, like, they have that question, like, so what's taking up most of your time?
Well, I don't even know where to start with that. could be a million things. I mean, it's just with retail ARB takes up a lot of my time, obviously. I mean, there's just so many SKUs and so many, things to sort out and make sure my staff's doing that, and product coming in. That's basically, again, when you get pallets of stuff, and sometimes it's mixed pallets, sometimes it's one of the same product, that it boggles you down. That's basically, it takes up a lot of my time during the day. It's just pricing product out, scanning it, seeing what it's worth, and then physically listing it on 12, 13 platforms. That's the problem. It's not just one. If it was one, it'd be easy. I just put it on Amazon or FBA, yes or no. Problem is when you're on multiple platforms, it takes a lot of your day. And then add in all the other stuff that I have to do: paperwork, wholesale, brokering, private label, customers, or retail outlet, buying, meetups, meetings with our clients. So it's basically nonstop. And then obviously now anything with TAS or coaching, and you want to get fast track. So yeah, the bandwidth is basically I have a full day every day. It's nonstop.
Yeah.
And then my weekends I know that's relax.
Yeah, and I was going to say, because some people want to know, like, okay, you're doing a bunch of different things, and I think it's safe to say that you're also in the process of figuring out a way to move a little bit over to the right a little bit with more just private label, and then maybe just stick with being the broker of a wholesale deal. But again, it's like you've learned through that process, right? You found the ones that you kind of want to specialize in, because you and I have had some conversations privately, and I think it's interesting for people to hear that, you have a whole bunch of different things going, but in order to have the lifestyle that you want, you have to almost like cut something out or give something up. And it's hard because you see that there's money to be made there, right? There's always money to be made there, but then it comes with the sacrifice of your time. And I think that's a problem. I think it's good for people to hear that that's a part of your struggle.
Yeah, you're like they say, you're a victim of your own success, right? Yeah. We've grown rapidly, maybe in the last, not 20 years, but the last 5 to 7 years, we've grown as a company. And, where before we maybe had 6, 7 clients, now we have 20, 30 that we're buying from. And actually, this year's been our slowest year for buying because which was crazy because we're still buying, 2-3 truckloads at a time. So that's how much we were buying before. But, in order to scale, you have to have all this other stuff in place. That means more management, more warehouse room, and that's where we're maxed out at all our warehouses. And I don't feel like moving into a bigger warehouse and taking on even more of a load, as a back, because it doesn't matter if you do $30,000 a month or $300,000 this month in retail ARB. You still have to pay. You still have your same. You still have your your thousands of dollars, your $20,000-$30,000 in rent. You still have your staffing at $10,000, $20,000 a month. So all these high end things that I have to do. So And then what's happened is, to be honest, the product. I mean, we teach out the 1K fast track, but a lot of product that we're getting, because we do a lot of media and toys and stuff. A lot of stuff is $6, $7, $8, $9 now. It's not like it used to, $20, $30, $40. A lot of $5, $6. So it costs us just as much to list something that costs $5 as it does $30, and also to pack it, right? Like it costs me, my guys, an hourly wage, whether they do 100 things in an hour. If we do 100 things at $1,000 each, of course it's successful. But when you're doing 100 things at $5, it takes a lot to add up. So yeah, I've got some new stuff in place. We're probably going to thin out our warehouse a little bit, do a couple of big sales to some of our clients. And then, that's the thing in here. I can't breathe in any of my warehouses. We just have pallet after pallet after pallet of stuff. So, maybe if any of the 1K fast trackers are out there, if you want to buy stuff by the thousands, let me know.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. And you and I have talked about that. It's not a business that we probably want to get into right at this point, but I mean, you have the resources on that stuff. But I mean, again, then you tap into something else. Like, so when do you say no? I think that the power of saying no is pretty important, and that's something that I know and that's something that you struggle with, because you see something you can buy for 50 cents, you can sell it for $10, and you're like, well, how do I pass that up? But as we talked, it could take you a long time before you actually get rid of that stuff. But anyway, I just wanted I wanted to just touch on that, because I know a lot of people will look at you or someone in your light and say, wow, they've got a whole bunch. They got warehouse, they got staff, they got all this stuff. They must have the easy life. And the thing is sometimes it makes it even more complicated. So you're normal. You're struggling with these things every single day. I've got my own struggles. Chris has got his own struggle. Everybody has their own struggles. So I don't want you guys to just think it's a cakewalk. That's not what we're here to do. I'm not here to give you a smoke and mirrors, right? This is exactly what we're talking about, and things that we actually talk with Dom about privately. And we're like, listen, we want to build a lifestyle. We don't want to build a business that's going to have to be just us slaving over it. And it's things that I'm working on, personally right now, to do the same thing.
And there's jobs, and a lot of us build ourselves a job and not a business, right? And this is something, it really is like a conscious effort on a daily basis to not be in that situation, right?
Yeah.
And having times where we're together in the same room going, wait, why are you doing that? Dom lives in Canada, Scott lives in South Carolina, I live in Texas, right? Like, we're not always in the same room, but we get to hold each other accountable.
Right.
And you get to have those conversations, but it all comes back to what your why is, in my opinion, right? If you want to build $1 billion company, then maybe you want $10,000 in salary overhead and warehouses and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
What your goal is to, Scott, spend as much time with your family as possible, leave them a little bit when you finally kick the bucket, and be happy along the way, and be able to do some stuff, which is really kind of what your why is, right? It's spend as much time with your family, take care of the people that matter to you, and go from there, right? Be happy along the way. Then that totally changes the way that you approach every business decision. And we kind of have a little saying, and I know it's not original to us, but if it's not a hell yes, it's a no.
Yep.
Right.
And that's tough. And that's tough.
With all of the stuff, there's 100,000 things that we could do right now to grow some of the brands that we're working in. But if it's not a hell yes right now, if I don't go, that takes us up 30%, so it's worth the 3 hours that it's going to take us to do it, then it's a no. Right? If it's not a no duh situation for us, then it has to be a no, because there's 5 other hell yeses. Does that make sense?
Yep, totally. All right, cool. Any quick questions before we jump into? There's 2 things I definitely want to hit on. One, I want to talk about what happened yesterday, which is pretty crazy and incredible, and also a little scary because some things happened after the fact. And then the other thing I want to talk about is this pay-per-click thing that we're struggling with, and I want Dom's opinion on it. I know he said he's kind of been through it, and it's kind of like my first time being through this little hiccup, and I'm hoping that we can get it fixed. So let's start with do you have any questions, Chris, you want to address really quickly?
Let's see. There was a good one from Daniel Tejada. He says, have you guys seen ASIN numbers appear in your sponsored products campaigns? Yes, ASINs will show up.
Mhm.
What they are is there's a sponsored products related to this items section on every product listing on Amazon. Just means you're showing up there. You can't do a whole heck of a lot with them. You can do some limited targeting now on those from what I've seen. But generally, the easy way to do it is just to take the title if it's working and add it as a phrase. If it's working for you. If it's not working for you, then you would add it as a negative so you don't show up there anymore.
The one thing that I was asked in the past is that they see in the report, they see certain ASINs coming up for there. Now, people are not searching for the ASIN.
Right. You're showing up in that sponsored products section on the product listing itself.
Exactly. So people are thinking that people are searching for that, so then they should target that with some ad spend. And my thought is number one, I'm not sure if it's 100% in the terms of service, but I thought you were not supposed to take an ASIN and use it as targeting.
Well, you couldn't at all previously, but I'm seeing some people that are doing it now somewhat successfully.
Okay.
But the way that I've always done it is just with taking a chunk of the title and adding it as a phrase or adding it in as exact.
Right.
And that's going to get you the same result.
Okay.
Michelle says, I don't understand keywords in pay-per-click. Help me understand it, please. Am I supposed to be putting those suggested keywords in my listing? So, Michelle, the first thing to do is go to theamazingseller.com/PPC. There's like 5.5 or 6 hours worth of us talking about PPC on there. That would be the place that I would start. If you've already gone through that and you have a specific question, let's go from there. But if you find keywords that are performing really well, then yes, you may want to consider adding them to the listing. The thing that I'm going to add as kind of a caveat on that, and it's a conversation we had with some of our friends at the event this weekend, just because it performs well in PPC does not mean that it should replace other keywords in your title or in your backend. Just be careful with that. Test all of those things when you add them in, because if you make the wrong choice there, it can actually hurt your sales. So I would focus on getting PPC to perform and then testing those things in if you have one of those issues. Daniel says, yeah, I've seen ASINs before in auto campaigns, but I've only recently seen them appear in manual campaigns. And it's just probably because you're running more manual heavy, but it's the same kind of a thing. When is the best time to ramp up PPC bids for Prime Day?
That's a good question. We talked about this yesterday a little bit, but you want to recap that?
Go for it.
Yeah, so it's really going to come down to, do you want to have more exposure other than the organic exposure that you currently have? If you have a sale price that you think is going to get you more clicks, then go for it. But I wouldn't necessarily say that you have to increase it or that I will increase it. I'd say I'm going to probably keep it the same and then just see what happens. I don't think I want to aggressively go after that unless I know that there's a ton more traffic, it's targeted, and that I am trying to boost that new product or boost sales. So the answer would be, if things are flowing pretty good and I'm organically ranking, then I'm probably going to pause it or maybe even just dial it down a little bit and then just let my organic do its thing. But if I'm trying to get exposure, then I'm going to do the opposite.
Right. So if you're in launch mode, you're going to ramp it up a little bit. If you're kind of past launch mode and you're in one of those plateaus, you're just going to kind of either leave it or reduce it. Again, guys, just for that like 30-ish hour window until Prime Day is over, you're going to see increased traffic for a day or two before and a day or two after. Amazon is actually doing Prime Week kind of this year. They're going to be driving traffic all week, but the 11th and I guess starting late on the night of the 10th is when I would expect to see more of that traffic start to kick in. So, play according to those rules, but it's not something that I would worry too much about. It's not going to make or break your business for the day or for the year or for any of that kind of stuff. And if it does, then you have a problem somewhere else, most likely in your margin. So it shouldn't be one of those things where, like, if you don't sell 500 units on Prime Day, your year is ruined, right? So play according to your rules there. So Scott, what do you say we dive into a little bit about what happened yesterday, and then we'll talk about the PPC issue if we have some time.
Sure. Okay, so here was the deal. We ran a giveaway for about 30 days. We collected, we added to our main list. We had our main list. We had about, what was it, Chris? About 10,000 people on the main list.
Under 11, yep.
Okay, so we had, let's just call it 10,000, and we had a winner picked. It took about a week for the winner to get back to us, which was a little bit long, but we waited, and we sent a few follow-up emails to that person. Then once that winner was selected, we now needed to send out our second place winners, or our loser email, as you would call it. Everyone's a second place winner in a sense, to where it's like, hey, sorry you didn't win. You know, Joanne Smith won, but you're going to get, you know, whatever, 30% off, 40% off. In this case, we did 50% off because we're trying to really get our sales ranked, or our sales ramped up for this new product. So we did that. And Chris, I believe you sent it out at like 10 a.m. or something like that. And in an hour, I think we had maybe like 25, maybe even 30 sales at that point. So I'm like, oh, this is going to do well. Like, it's going to do well. Now, the problem was that we only had about 150 in stock. I was thinking we probably sell about 100 over the course of the day and a half. I thought maybe 100. And we would have been happy with that. We had other inventory being sent in. Another 200 units were being sent in. We have about 1,500, but again, with the long-term storage fees, we didn't want to send a whole bunch in, so we're like, we'll send 200 at a time. Well, it went crazy. So between our list and also it getting shared in another Facebook group, we sold 150, we sold everything, 152, 157 units in less than 8 hours. Our BSR was, I think it was like 500, something crazy.
So that was this morning after the listing came back.
Well, okay. Well, wait a minute. Don't give it all away, Chris. Okay. We actually, we sold 150 some units at 50% off. We still made $1 per unit. I turned off pay-per-click completely, so I didn't spend a dime on pay-per-click that day. And yeah, we ran out of inventory. So once we ran out of inventory, we had other inventory already being sent in. So I think we're going to go back in stock, I think July 1st. So soon. But, we ran out, and we weren't planning on that. So, so we went ahead, we ran out, and then I went to just check it last night. I wanted to see what would happen if people went there thinking it was going to say currently unavailable, whatever, and the listing is gone. Images are gone. The bullets were there. Description might have been there. No BSR. Reviews were gone. The listing is out of whack. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, here we got all of the sales velocity. We've got everything ramping up. We got people hitting this listing that could possibly add it to their cart if it went back in stock as soon as it does, or be notified. Like, all of that stuff, right? And it's gone. So Chris knows I was a little upset last night, and I was texting Chris. And
the thing that's funny is I checked it 5 minutes before you did and was having the same heart attack, and you were like, where'd the listing go? That's why I Skyped you right back, because I was already looking at it.
Yeah, so then Chris puts a support ticket in, and I think this morning it was back up, but all the images were these tiny little thumbnails now. They weren't the original images anymore.
They're actually bigger than the ones that we uploaded.
Well, they don't look bigger.
They put them on like a bigger background, right? They're on a white background, but they're this big.
Yeah. So that happens, and then so then the images aren't there. So now we try to upload new images. It won't let us. We try to play around with the title. Won't let us. Like, nothing. It won't let us do anything. So now it's basically locked. So then, Chris, you contacted seller support. What did they tell you?
Give it 48 hours.
That's it.
The guy legitimately in the support ticket, basically, and I could pull it up and read it, but he basically said, I don't know what happened. Here's the listing, and here's your reviews back. And so this is not the first time on this account. If you guys remember, this is the third time with 3 different products that we've had an issue in this account. So I'm just going to assume that this account is cursed, because I have never had this issue anywhere
That's not
else.
Good, though, Chris.
Yeah,
I don't want a cursed account.
Issue
No.
anywhere else.
Dom, have you ever had that happen?
But well, I mean, I had a couple pictures taken down today.
No. I'm talking the listing is gone. You go into your inventory, and where it shows your thumbnail, it says no image. And then it says, let's see, what did it say? It said current product, or it said something over top of it, like inactive or something like that. Like, it was just whacked. Like, image is gone, reviews are gone, BSR is gone. Remind you that we sold 152 units yesterday. We got no BSR. It's gone.
Yeah.
Everything is wiped. You've never had that happen?
No, nothing like that. I mean, we've had listings taken over. They call it retail contribution, where they take the whole listing over and change your picture, your title, and you can't do nothing about it until they release it. We've had that happen before, but nothing to that extreme. I mean, we talked about this just before I got on air. We've had stuff where we've had to change our title because we've had, compatible with or works with, and then we've had the brand name, and they locked us out of PPC because we had that in our title. And
okay, and that's going to bring up my next point. That's going to bring up my next point in a second here. But before we go there, because I know you've been through that. I want to hear your thoughts on that. But so you've never had that happen though, where the listing just basically gets all wacky. We've had that happen 3 times on this account.
On different products.
Mm-hmm.
There's something there that's definitely a threshold. It could be a competitor complaining on you. It could be a million things. I mean, again, we'll talk about it once we get into the title and stuff like that. That's probably what's going on.
It seems like anytime we make a change in the back end, after a listing has sold an item, it deletes everything. And so it's just one of those things where we're like, we better get it right the first time, and we hope we never have to test anything.
Yeah.
If we make any changes whatsoever, because it's happened on 3 products. And Scott, you've been in 4 or 5 different accounts. I'm in accounts every day. I have never had that be a problem. And it's just funny because it's every time we have one of these like really nice launches and we start to get embedded somewhere. And then,
well, you might have just answered your own question right there. Maybe they don't like that long. Like, I don't know, unless you try it with other people that have using the same technique. I just think it's in the category that you're in.
Before we were even in stock on this account.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time we went to upload new images to the first product we launched on this account, and it deleted the listing and disassociated the inventory. And I mean, it's one of those things.
Well, and to let you know, Dom, like, this one here is different than the one I was going to talk to you about the pay-per-click. This here, pay-per-click, running strong. Like, I can spend $150 in a day, and I can just crank. I mean, it's been doing really good for that. My impressions are through the roof. The other one, I can't drop. This one here, we haven't really sold much of, that I'm having problems with pay-per-click, that it won't let me. It won't let me. We had one violation on that account that came through that said that we were using a popular brand name in our title, and all we were saying was compatible with or can be used with, and everyone else is too. And then it kind of flagged our account in a sense. So now we're thinking that listing got slapped, and now they've blocked us with pay-per-click. So my question to you is, how do you get that unblocked?
Well, I mean, we just had the same issue like 2 weeks ago. I talked to you about that with one of our hot products. It was compatible with or for use with, and we had the title. The funny thing is, it wasn't actually for use with the main product. It was a secondary keyword that we did. Yeah. And basically, our listing, when the PPC would not work, like, you tried to type in our main keywords and they wouldn't show, and then we were talking for about 2-3 days, and then finally somebody in upper management, they have a tool, a title tool, like whatever, and then he said, yeah, here's the words right here that you can't use in your title. Get rid of these, you'll be fine. As soon as we got rid of them, we're back up, our rank was back up. You could type in the main keyword, we could they would find
all it was taking them out of your title.
Yeah, out of the title. Not even. I still kept them in the bullet, and I still kept them in the back end. Okay. It was just in the title. It did not like it at all. And I kind of split tested with other stuff in it. Yeah, that's what it was. I split tested with another product that's not similar, but the other stuff that was selling hot at Christmas time. Those ASINs and the same thing. When I typed in the main keyword, it was blocking it because I had those words in the title. So I'm just like, that doesn't make any sense, but that's the way they want it. I guess those companies are paying for them not to use the other people's name if it's not, even if it's related. They don't want to be associated with a third party that has no authorization. And I think this is what's happening with you guys, because you're such in a space that's that's a brand that's well known, or a category that's well known, that they're saying, look, we don't want you to use this, and this is what we're going to do if you try to do it. I don't think that having it in your title has anything to do with that other listing going through, but it definitely does. That's why you're not getting any impressions on that stuff. Or again, I don't know. Again, are you putting all your campaigns? So are you using the same set of campaign keywords for each product? So you use it. So you have 100 keywords and you put them all in. Like, so you're taking, well, this is what I mean. Okay. So you got 100 keywords and you're taking every product and putting it into that campaign. So then what Amazon's saying is, okay, because a lot of people do that, and they're only going to take the first ones that are relevant, the ones that have been there for a while now. If you put a new product, they're not going to give money to that product because your other ones are taking up so much of the budget. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does.
And
it does.
thought
I turned those off and tried that theory, and it didn't work.
Yeah, that's what I've done before. We do that all the time. So if I don't want to get hit on a certain ASIN because we're running out, I'll actually close it, and then it'll revert to my next best one. If I don't want that one, I turn it off. It'll go to the third best one, based on sales and how long it's been active. So, but that's if you put, ad groups. If you keep adding a product to the same campaign. So I thought maybe that's what you did.
Nope.
I thought of you yesterday because I said, okay, well, it's in the same category or the same subcategory as another one of our products that we can run PPC on.
Yeah.
So maybe it just won't trigger because that one's already triggering for all of the search terms on the main keyword that we were trying to run on. So I added in 2 other ones. We got like 5 impressions on those bidding $10. I think it does have to do with the title. And actually, they went ahead and they removed the word that they said. No, Daniel, it does not say ineligible. They removed the infringing word. And now when we try to update the title so that it doesn't just have a gap for no reason, with the generic term, not the branded term, it won't update. So I put in a support ticket for that. And I have a feeling it's because they slapped it for the trademark violation, even though it's not a trademark violation. We're just not even going to go into that whole story. But when they update that title for us, I have a feeling we will be relevant again for all of those things. But it's missing the unbranded major keyword in the title right now, even though it's in the back end, it's in the bullets, it's out of the title. So if they didn't put us in a little sandbox for a couple days to see what we do, then it's just a matter of not having that major unbranded keyword.
Are those the same? So that's the one where the title got adjusted. That's where you can't get any PPC hits on. Is that what's happening? It's the same. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So they blocked you for that keyword. They're saying, look, you're not going to get any impressions. We're not giving you anything until we fix this. And then once it gets fixed, it's good. I mean, a lot of times too, even though you think it's in the right category, sometimes you have to put it somewhere else and get impressions. But I don't think that's what it sounds like. I mean, it's pretty generic where your stuff has to be. It's not like you could put it in automotive, So I think that's exactly what it is. Especially if they took it out, and once that gets fixed, I mean, you'll have to be on them forever because they'll just keep emailing you.
Well, we have to submit a support ticket to do anything in this account, so that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Did you talk to a U.S. catalog team? Is that what you had to do, or who did you talk to?
We haven't
you have 2 different things, right?
A support ticket yesterday, and they said this morning they said, hey, we haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
So I mean, I would call Amazon, the PPC side, talk to somebody there and say, look, this is what happened
first before I do. Okay. Because then they'll just look at the title and go, the keyword's not in the title, dummy.
No, but they'll know that something happened in the back. It'll be noted on your account. They'll say they might be able to say this is why you're not ranked because they're working on that keyword. Until that is let go, you're not going to show relevancy for that keyword in PPC right now.
Yeah.
Which sucks because it's a major. I mean, I don't know. As long as you still have it in your bullets, right?
Yep.
It's all right. You still have it in the back end. So.
Yep.
I mean, it is what it is, right? You can't do anything about it.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna just have to play around with that, and actually, even the other one, we're getting very low amounts of impressions, even though I'm willing to bid high and spend high. Yeah. It's still limiting that, but I did just check, and there is a mention of it in the title of that one too. So I'm going to remove it out of the title of that one and just put it in the bullets and see if that makes a difference.
Yeah, that could be it. Or it could be one of those things where your PPC is just backed up. It's not working. All of a sudden, your budget will be gone in 2 seconds. I've had that happen. We're like, oh my god, nothing's happening, and then 2 hours later, everything's gone. My whole budget. I'm like, oh, great. I'm glad it kept up. PPC, thanks. I appreciate it. So that's what could happen too. But I think what's going to happen is if you have the same title in each, you might have to remove all of them, or change the wording. Go online and find out what another. It's just like on eBay to use the word Velcro is a trademark infringement. So our hats we use Velcro enclosure. Anytime one of my guys lists it, he forgets. I tell the guys, don't use the word Velcro. I get a violation. You have to use fabrics.
Hook
I don't know.
Fastener.
Yeah, fabric fascinator. Yeah, that's what you have to use. Fabric a closure instead of Velcro. Like, who would have known Velcro is, copy whatever. So stupid little things like that
Well, so
happen all the
the
time.
rumor there is that they were about to lose their trademark because they weren't enforcing that, and it was becoming it was like Xerox. It was becoming part of the vernacular, and so they started aggressively enforcing it, because if it becomes part of the vernacular,
Oh yeah.
then you lose the
Like,
trademark status on it. So
I get it. Like Skidoo for snow machines.
Yeah.
Blade.
Or a VHS or for VCRs or something like that, or something that. Yeah, I get it. I never knew that. So they can't trademark that once it's.
If it becomes the common way to describe something, then you can actually lose your trade. And again, I'm not a lawyer, but that's the rumor that was floating around, because they started enforcing that when I was installing home theater 15 years ago, and
Oh wow.
because we called everything Velcro, everything was Velcro, right? And when you were in a client's house, you couldn't say it, because if somebody happened to work for 3M that owns Velcro, and they found out that you were saying it and you weren't using Velcro brand Velcro, it could be a problem.
Yeah, same thing. There's lots of stuff. Even the word flex fit for hats, or doily, or cozy for those beer things. They call them cozy. If that's a federal trademark, you can't use it. Everyone calls them cozies, but Bic Lighters of all companies owns the trademark for that.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. But we will keep you guys updated. As you can see, we're brainstorming here with Dom and Chris, and we are trying to figure out this whole why I can't get impressions on this listing when I think I have everything correct, but I think we might have got a little slap. So we're gonna have to fix that, and we'll let you guys know next week how it's going and how it's progressing. Hopefully, I can tell you we're getting a ton of impressions. Prime Day again, we'll give you guys some updates on that and let you guys know what we're planning and what we're doing there. I know I think we have 2 lightning deals that were accepted for. One of them is $500 and one of them is $300. I think we're going to skip on the $500 one, and we may do the $300 one, which is Prime Week, which might be a lightning deal. But again, it's going to depend on what we have for inventory and stuff too, because Don brings up a good point. If we sell through all that inventory, we're going to be out of inventory for a little while. We may not want to do that. We may just want to keep selling 20 a day instead of selling 100 right off the rip and be out of stock. Luckily, we have enough of this one product to get in stock again. We've already reordered a bunch of stuff. And I got to tell you, I was talking to my partner this morning, and I'm like, this fourth quarter is going to be interesting because we have to do some planning. And not quite sure if we're going to be prepared, but we're going to do our best to be. And I'll let you guys know on how that all goes. But again, just to let you guys know, this is the process. We're starting to kind of go through these problems and these issues, but it's part of the process. It doesn't mean that they're going to always be like this. It just means that when you're going through this, you're going to have to learn, you're going to have to adapt, you're going to have to pivot, all that fun stuff. What were you going to say, Chris?
That I think part of that is a factor of the fact that we launched 6 products in 6 weeks too.
True.
And it's one of those things, and I think we heard the stat, I think it was at the ClickFunnels conference. Every time you add a SKU, you complicate your business by 12%.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I'm no math genius. What's 6 times 12?
Yeah. 6 times 12?
72. So
yeah, pretty good.
But it's compounding. It's not just linear like that. So you have your business, which is complex with 1 or 2 SKUs, and then you're complicating it by 12 more and 12 more and 12 more every time you add in a product. So not only do we have to keep inventory in stock, but we also now have 6 products where we can have a listing problem. We have some of those kinds of things. Not saying don't do it, but when you do it that quickly, and that's one of the reasons we generally say don't do it that quickly. You get some of these kinks worked out at the beginning, right? You get some of these kinks worked out at the beginning rather than slamming into walls and pushing through and slamming into a wall. You get to kind of open and walk.
Yeah, 6 products in 6 weeks for the average person that's all by themselves. I would never suggest it, unless of course it's one product with 4 variations.
It's still a struggle to get everything done. We've only done half of what we wanted to do on those 6 products because we launched them so quickly. So it's one of those things where you have to keep on top of it even more when you grow at that rate. And we're not done. We have 3 more that are coming in the next few weeks. So we're not done. We're not slowing down, and it's not going to stop us.
Nope, we're just going to do what we can do. It's part of the process. We're learning through that process. Chris, you have any questions before we wrap up today? We got about 10 more minutes. We can answer some questions.
Dan Forrester says, where are you listing, when you're listing a product, under the Vital Info tab, what do you do with the related product ID? So there's two things that you can do. If you have more than one product, put your other product ASIN in there. If you don't, and you're selling something like an accessory, you can put the main product ASIN in there to let Amazon know that, hey, this goes with this. What I've noticed is you show up more in the customers bought with. You have a better chance of showing up in the frequently bought together and all of those kinds of things. They tend to give you a little bit of better placement on those product pages where you show up with that related ASIN. Even if it didn't do anything, I would still suggest filling it out just on the off chance that it does, right? But to me, I've noticed, again, not saying causation, I've noticed the correlation that when I do that, my products show up faster in those other sections. So I would fill that out, especially if you have more than one product. Danielle Tejada says, got invited to do a couple of Prime Day deals, going to test running PPC hard on top performing keywords to see how that affects our organic ranking, and I'm going to update on progress. So he just wanted to say thanks for the PPC advice on that.
Cool.
Daniel, let us know for sure. Luke Stevenson wants to know, are you allowed to use your Amazon affiliate link to promote your own products, Scott?
As far as I know, you are, but I've heard mixed things about it, so I'd like to hear your thoughts.
I haven't ever seen anything that says you can't, so I'm going to err on the side of go for it, and here's my thought on it. If I'm driving external traffic, why would Amazon care?
Right.
They're still making money on the commission of the sale. They're still making money on the pick and pack fee. They're paying me a small portion of that back because they weren't the person that drove the traffic. It came from somebody else.
Yeah.
So why would I be any different than Dom? I could just hire Dom to push my stuff, and then he could give me the money, right? We could have two different businesses and do the same thing. It just, to me, it passes the mom test because my mom would go, that makes sense, right? It doesn't seem shady to me. There are some things you can do. That has never been brought up as one of them. And we've done it, and I've never had anybody say a single thing to us about it. It may be because we're not doing it on the scale of thousands a day, but I've never had an issue with it.
Cool. What else you got?
Lamonte says, I recently added variations to products and ironically lost my lightning deal recommendation on those products right after. Have you guys experienced this? And is there a way to get recommendations back? So if you have a lightning deal recommendation, any change to the listing can jack that up. The biggest and most obvious one is pricing.
Price, yeah.
If you change the pricing, you generally will lose it. So I'm curious to hear, Lamonte, if you change the pricing, whether it's the MSRP, the sales price, or the retail price of that unit, and if it already was a parent-child variation, or if you added it to a parent variation. Does that make sense, Scott? So if it was sitting on its own and you added a parent and child to it, or if it already had a parent and you just added a variation to it, I would tend to think Amazon would look at the parent because they want you to list both children as a part of that lightning deal. They ask, and it's not a requirement, but it's a strongly worded suggestion that if you're
I'm going to say it's
lightning
probably
deal,
a price.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
I was going to say it's a price. What happens as soon as you confirm that deal, if you change your price in any way, so if you're losing, splitly or something like that, and you want to change your price up and down, or you manually change it because you want to be more competitive, that's it. It's pretty well done. They'll cancel it on.
I think the other one would be also if your inventory went below what it needed to be.
That's true. Yeah, that would be amazing. That would make sense.
Anything that changes the requirements of that deal. So when you look at it, there's kind of three things that show up, and I happen to have one pulled up, Scott, because our price changed on product number one, and so it's flagged as, hey, you need to change this. So if your availability changes, your deal quantity changes, or your price changes, it will suppress that deal for you, even if it's already been accepted. Those recommendations can go away. Like if you haven't executed that as a recommendation yet, like you haven't accepted the lightning deal yet, those can go away if any of those changes are made as well, until Amazon collects enough data to understand what's going on and then say this would be good for a lightning deal or this wouldn't. So, Scott, we have a few minutes here. Is there anything else you wanted to cover really quick? And guys, if you do have any questions, drop them in the chat below. I know Joseph from Dallas is in the house with us as well.
Yeah, I don't really have anything, I guess, extra to add other than, just that this is a constant, like, moving target. Like, I mean, whether it's pay-per-click, whether it's, you're listing and you're getting flagged for something, or, you're, running out of inventory and you have to figure out what you're going to do, because there's always going to be these things. You're going to get better at it. I think us kind of getting our bearings now, as far as like this new brand that we're working with, we're getting a flow, right? We're starting to understand how much inventory we're going to need. Communications have been off a little bit between me and my partner. I think we let our inventory get a little bit too low in some certain situations. I didn't realize it was going to take more than 30 days to get some of these items. I was under the impression that we could get it in 21 to 30 days. Now, because of that puts me a week behind. So now we're a little bit behind, the 8 ball. The one thing is I would say too is, if you run out, because a lot of people want to know, like, what happens when you run out of inventory? Are you going to lose all of your ranking? Are you going to lose, all that momentum? And the answer is kinda, but not really, because you will start to slowly lose your BSR. Like I just checked, Chris. I mean, we're still like 796. Like we were 5 something, and now we're at 796, and we haven't sold one today. But
that's why I said, are they selling the ones that are inbound? Because it must be a
not
really
that I can
slow
see
day on Amazon
yeah.
today.
So I just think it hasn't caught up. It hasn't caught up yet. But the idea is to not be out of inventory that long. But if you are, I believe, and it's my belief, that Amazon will remember what the rate of sales that you had that you ran out of, right? So if you had a high conversion rate, and you come back in stock and you start to run some pay-per-click, you start to get sales again, I think they're going to give you that love, because they're like, wow, this was a hot selling product. We should probably move it back to where it was doing well. That's just my belief. So don't panic if you run out of inventory. It stinks, yes. But the other thing is if you have more than one variation, that can help you. We're going to run into the same situation here on 2 SKUs that are underneath the same listing. There's 2 variations. We have 2 more variations coming in. So we're going to have 4 variations, a different style in a sense. And the thing is we may run out of, the 2 that are currently in, but when we get those other new ones in and we add those variations under our listing, the listing isn't dead, right? It still can get sales. So if we're still ranking, we're still going to be able to get sales, and hopefully those other things will start to sell as well. So just some things to think about and to consider, that when you're dealing with running out of inventory, it's not the end of the world. I know, Dom, we've ran out of, the one product numerous times. It pretty much is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's pretty much you run out, you get inventory, you turn your pay-per-click back on, and it's back to business, right?
Yeah, it will depend on timeline, though. I mean, we ran out of one of my products last year at Christmas time, and I just got it in. We just got it in last week or 2 weeks ago, and we've only sold 3 since we've got it. Now, the biggest thing is the price has dropped a lot by about $3-4. So that's crazy because of competitors. So yeah, we're playing around with that. So it hasn't come back again. It's kind of saturated, but it's not that big of a it's not a hype product. It's not an amazing product that people will want all the time. Yeah. So we're having those ramifications, and then there's different times of year that you can use the product. So we're struggling with that, because I just checked now because I knew we were going to get to this question, and we just sold 3 in the last 2 weeks. So again, now what's happening? We added 2 new ASINs to it, including the other 3, so 5 total. So that's probably one reason, because there's so many. Now we used to be ranked 8,000 for it, and now we're at 222,000. So it's going to take a lot of work. PPC, I'm going to have to fool around with the prices. I already lowered it $3-4 that we used to sell it, because I went back and checked because I couldn't remember what we sold it at. It was such a long time ago. And then the average person's about $4 cheaper than we were doing. So
I think
we'll play around with it.
I think the pay-per-click will help with that. But how's the pay-per-click been on that one?
It's not all right. It only got about 3,000-4,000 impressions a day. Or again, the main 3-4 keywords were at $5-6 a click. So we are getting hit at $3 a click. But again, it's kind of like launching a product all over again. But once Amazon remembers the algorithm, it'll pick up. I mean, our product's a lot nicer. There's more quantity involved than others. So
and I guess this would be a discussion too we'll have privately, but we can kind of talk about it here a little bit too. That would be probably this would probably be a good time to push it out to the list that we had built during that time.
Yeah, we could do that. I also have 2 Prime offers on 2 of the ASINs.
Okay.
So I think we might do that and drop the price $4 just to get some sales for that day. So we can because one of the 3 have sold and then 2 of the ASINs haven't sold anything, so they're just sitting there dormant with no BSR. So I think that might be I mean, we could push it to the list. I mean, we'd have to build a list for it. It's not the other list that we already built. It's something
it's
totally
not.
different.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not, yeah.
Okay,
So
I was thinking
right now it's not. No, the other 2 products, we're still missing 1 ASIN out of the 2 of the 4, and the one that keeps running out. I mean, call the shark. He'll know. I'm sure he's got 100 boxes sitting at his house. He sent me pictures. Oh no, you saw them too. Yeah. So he emailed me today or Skyped me today. Do you want them in boxes of 100 or 50 or 200? What do you want? Yeah. And I said, yeah. Just stuff them in the box and make sure it's even. I don't want no 37 or 43 or 96. I want them 45, 50.
Right.
So anyways, so that list, we could definitely do that. But again, that's just running out all the time. It's actually one of still our best.
Yeah, I was thinking of the one product that was doing well at Christmas time, and then
it's nowhere near what it was. But because we're missing 2 of the variations of the 4, or one out of the 4, and we haven't been aggressively to market down because some people have come into the space and they're a couple dollars cheaper, but again, we think we have a nicer product. We offer more variations and more sizes. Okay. So
all right,
it's the same.
We'll talk about it, but I think that we can, if it's the product that I'm thinking of, I think we can push it. You know what I mean? Because we might as well. I mean, we built that list, and we might as well push it, and we might as well wake it up a little bit because we haven't really done anything with it. So I think there's over 5,000 or 6,000 emails there of people that are in that space. So it'd be an interesting test to do too, to see how many of them are still awake, and then we can. I mean, just give an irresistible offer again, just to kind of boost the sales and see what happens. But yeah, no, I think that'd be cool to do. But again, I love it that here we are, we're talking about the things that aren't working, right? Like the things like how do we work on this? How do we fix this? And this is exactly what we're doing, right? Like we're doing this stuff every single day. It's not all the glitz and the glamour and like all that stuff. I mean, yeah, we can sit here and talk about all of the successes, but we have to talk about the things that aren't working. So I think that's where the lessons are to be had. To be honest with you, all right, Chris, we have any other quick questions or?
We have a couple quick ones. Let's kind of blow through them. Dan Forrester says, I have a number of products with variations. Some share VSR, some don't. I'd like them all to share VSR. How can I do that? The answer is you can't, as long as you've been placing them in the correct subcategory or category. Different categories and subcategories handle variations in VSR differently. So you kind of got to go with the flow. My suggestion would be, rather than putting them all in the same category or subcategory, make sure they're in the most correct one and just play along. It doesn't make a single bit of difference for you. It is going to make a difference in terms of how it shows up in Jungle Scout, but it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Amazon still understands that the listing as a whole, the parent listing, is selling 20 a day or whatever it is of all of those different products. Austin wants to know, are you going to make your Take Action shirts available for sale on Merch by Amazon? I think the answer to that is probably no. Luke wants to know, I know it depends, but in terms of uplifts, how much do you see Q4 affecting sales? I've seen it anywhere from 30 to like 200%. It really does vary wildly by the market. If you're in a seasonal product, you're going to see a bigger swing. If you're not in a seasonal product, a less gifty product, or you sell garden hoses, you're probably going to see less of a swing. Because I don't think too many people get hoses for Christmas. And if I did, I would probably be upset. Just hint for the future. I don't need anything for Christmas. And if you get me a garden hose, I will make you regret it. Daniel Tejada says, when we run out of stock, we just push heavy on ads and we tend to see our sales velocity bounce back. And again, I think it depends on how long you're out of stock. The longer you're out of stock, the harder it is to regain that flywheel, that velocity, right? Think about it this way. If you're running a race and you trip over a hurdle and you get right back up and you keep running, you lose a second, right? If you trip over a hurdle and you lay there, you're not going to win. It's a matter of how fast you get back up. It's not whether or not you tripped over the hurdle. It's how fast you get back up and then how fast you run the rest of that race. And if you sit there for 6 months, everybody else is going to be finished and on their 3rd or 4th lap by that point. So if you get back in stock quickly, you pick up right where you left off. Ben Fair says, did you find adding additional products to your brand help you sell, cross-sale, and has it helped products where sales have lagged? Yes, obviously having more than one product is going to help you with cross-sales. And it does help slightly with products that are lagging if you can get frequently bought together, if you do some of those cross-listing promotions that we've talked about. Do either of you guys have anything else that you wanted to chat about there, or do you think that pretty much covers it?
I think that does.
No,
does it.
I mean, that's why you have a brand, so you can have multiple unit, just like the one that you're working on now. You have multiple units in the same category, the same brand, same type of product. So you bring your average sale up, your average unit per transactions. So, I mean, we find out that's how we built up my first 2 brands, first 3 to tell you the truth. I mean, the open brand's different because nothing really goes together. Although that'll be fixed in about a year because we'll have 4 or 5 things that'll go together times each category. And then there'll be some repeat. And at Christmas time, somebody will buy a soccer ball and end up buying a T-shirt. They'll be like, okay, I'm here anyways in this account. It looks not bad. Let's get Prime and get it shipped for free. So, yeah, of course, that's why you need variations. That's why I'm a really strong supporter, of releasing products that you can have 2 to 3 to 5 variations. So this way you can bring your average sale up. They might want a 2-pack and a 10-pack or something like that. So, or they want 2 colors or 2 sizes or 2 styles.
Sounds good.
Cool. We good?
That wraps it up for today, brother.
All right, cool. Good. We had a good turnout here today. Bunch of people on. I know it's the 4th of July weekend, and I know that people are going to probably be traveling, and also that could be your numbers could be a little bit lower this weekend, depending, right? If people are barbecuing.
I would say to expect your numbers to be down unless you're selling fireworks.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be selling fireworks,
or hot dogs,
probably.
or buns,
Yeah.
or butane for the grill, propane for the grill,
right?
Any of that kind of stuff. Those little, like the triangular American flag banners.
Yeah.
If you sell those, your numbers are probably going to be up a little bit this weekend. But
for the most part,
major holidays, and that's a great disclaimer, Scott. Around major holidays, even stuff like Mother's Day, Father's Day, President's Day, anytime that people are off work, people's shopping habits go absolutely crazy. So if your sales are way up or way down, I wouldn't read too much into it over the next few days. Keep an eye on it, obviously, if your sales are down, but it's not something I would stress too much about. I am expecting to see probably 200 to 300. Hey guys, I haven't sold anything, and I normally sold 30 point of the day posts over the next 4 or 5 days. But just as kind of a disclaimer to throw out there, it's going to happen. It's going to be fine. Sales will start to pick back up around the 6th or the 7th, which is Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday, Friday of next week. And you're kind of going to get back into the swing of things. The other thing with that, Scott, is this is typically when people start going on vacation. This is the part of the year where we typically see online sales slow down 10 to 15% before we get back into the back to school swing in the middle of August, give or take. So the next 3-4 weeks even, I would say, are going to be a little wacky just because of that.
No, and that's why they do the Prime Day, right? I mean, they're doing the Prime Day to try to boost sales in e-commerce in the summer
portion of the year.
Exactly. So generally, this is the slowest time of the year. We're approaching the slowest time of the year, unless you're selling, pool equipment or something like that, right? But for the most part, sales all across the board, not just Amazon, are down for e-commerce. Traffic numbers are down for Google, like all that stuff. Because people they're out and about, they're vacationing, they're enjoying life, hopefully, but for the most part. So yeah, that's all I got. Dom, anything you want to wrap up with?
Yeah, a couple of things. First, I want to wish everybody in Canada happy 150th birthday, July 1st. So all my Canadians, that's a big celebration. And obviously to all my American friends, happy 4th of July. And sorry I can't come down to Arizona to the Sharks' big party, and Bill Strutwell's big party down there, but we'll have to do here. And on a personal note, I want to thank you, Scott, for taking us in for the whole week there, and especially my family, my daughter, taking us around and taking us to your house, and all the stuff that we did a couple of days after everyone kind of left. So I appreciate that. My family appreciates that, and as well as you, Chris, and Joel and Angel, for all the stuff that we worked on, and how well the class was. And everybody that came to the TAS meetup on Friday, it was amazing. I mean, that place was just jammed. We couldn't even get it. We couldn't even get in the place. So it was good.
Yeah, no,
we all had a good time.
It was a great weekend, and I always come off of a high from those weekends, from meeting the people that are listeners, from also people that are building businesses. I learn from everyone through their stories and also through how they've built businesses in the past. We had a guy on that was actually featured on a guest on Shark Tank, and I wasn't aware of that. And he got ripped to shreds on Shark Tank, but he still was on Shark Tank.
Does he know his numbers now? That's the question.
Yeah, and we also opened his eyes up to a couple of things that he's going to be doing. He actually was at the conference Boost, FBA Boost, over the weekend, and he took the Take Action shirt, and he took a picture of himself with it on like I think I don't know, inside the event where the big banner was, and he said he was going to do that. So anyway, yeah, so it was just a lot of fun, and again to have you guys here and be able to show you my new home that I've just been here a year, so it was kind of cool to have you guys here and kind of see. Show you guys where I kind of hang out now. And then just the conversations that we all get to have together and brainstorming in the future of our businesses, but also TAS stuff and just a lot of really cool stuff. And I'm more excited now than before. So pumped up. So yeah, let's wrap this up, Chris. Let's officially lock this baby down and say goodbye. So everyone that's watching, if you watch this on the replay, do me a favor, like this, share it, give it some love. We would appreciate that. A couple of links that we mentioned are theamazingseller.com/build list. That'll help you build a list as we're using in our businesses. The other thing I want to mention really quickly is 1K Fast Track. If you wanted to get started doing retail arbitrage and basically not having to wait to private label or maybe even just adding this to your business, we're going to be opening up 1K Fast Track here soon, and it's going to be laid out a little bit differently, going to be taught a little bit differently as far as how you go through the course. But if you want more information on that, head over to 1kfasttrack.com, and you'll get all the information over there. So that's it, Chris. That's all I got. Guys, gals, everyone that's watching, take care. Have an awesome holiday weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care, and as always, take action. We'll see you.